Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre will be returning to the House of Commons this fall after securing a confident win in the Alberta by-election.
We will not only oppose out-of-control liberal inflation, crime, immigration, cost of living, and housing prices, but we will propose real solutions for safe streets, secure borders.
So voters in the Battle River-Crowfoot riding made their choice known, handing Poilievre a decisive victory. He won the riding with just over 80% of the vote. Meantime, Premier Doug Ford met with Prime Minister Mark Carney Monday for a one-on-one meeting. They were talking tariffs and taxes. So for more on all things politics this morning, we're joined by the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone, who is in Ottawa this morning. Aptly so. Laura, let's start with Alberta. Poilievre had this to say to his constituents, those that he's just really gotten to know over the summer. This was his victory speech from last night.
I am grateful that I will have the chance to be their humble servant, to fight every day and in every way for the people in this region who feed, power, and protect all of Canada.
So, Laura, I'm curious, what stood out to you from his speech last night?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Well, I'd say that word humble, humility is probably something that stood out as, of course, Pierre Poilievre was running in this by-election because he lost his own seat that he had held for 20 years in the Ottawa area. And so, you know, he's had to kind of claw his way back. And so whether or not he'll present kind of maybe a more humble, a different tone, a different face when he returns to the House of Commons, that will be what everyone in Ottawa and political watchers will be looking for. Of course, you know, it's his job to oppose the government, but as you saw in the clip too, he says he wants to propose ideas. And so I think he is trying to kind of shift his tone somewhat to present himself as the prime minister in waiting, and maybe he got some grief from, you know, his own members and certainly voters for not taking it over the finish line in the election, and voters returning to the Liberals under Mark Carney. And so certainly, you know, he won with a decisive victory, won about the same as his predecessor Damien Carrick, who had stepped aside. But now everyone is kind of shifting to, okay, what happens when the House of Commons returns, and are we going to see a different side of Pierre Poilievre?
Yeah, okay, well, let's talk about that then, about the House of Commons. This is going to be the first time that Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre are going to be face-to-face across the aisle. I'm curious, what do you foresee this meaning for Mark Carney? Because he hasn't had, he hasn't had a leader like Pierre Poilievre to face off against. Andrew Scheer has been there, we know, but Pierre Poilievre, we know this is his arena. This is where he likes to fight, and this is where he flexes his muscle.
Absolutely. Pierre Poilievre, very experienced in the House of Commons, and you saw him, certainly under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, really able to needle him and go after him on these cost of living issues, which is what the Conservatives ran their campaign on. I think what we've seen from the limited viewing of Prime Minister Carney is he's, I think, much more low key. He's sort of he's not maybe as flashy as we'd seen Mr. Trudeau be at times in the House of Commons. I think that we'll still see certainly that prosecutorial type of leader in Pierre Poilievre going after Carney. Will he though, Anne-Marie, come up with those nicknames or those taglines that we saw from the Conservatives? I don't think he can call him Carbon Tax Carney anymore because the Liberals canned the consumer carbon tax and the Conservatives took credit for that. But are we going to kind of see maybe those like juvenile games that we see in the House of Commons at times on all sides, or is it going to be more of a serious exchange? And I would think that both our leaders would try to present more of a serious front to the viewing public when they're tuning into the House of Commons in September.
One more, I don't know if hurdle is the right word, but one more sort of stepping stone for Pierre Poilievre to get past, and that is this leadership review that's come up in January. Getting just over 80% of the vote in this by-election was a boost that he needed. What do these results signal perhaps about the future of his leadership, and what comes up at that review?
I think you're right, Anne-Marie, and I think the fact that the party moved the leadership to Alberta is telling. I think certainly, getting over 80%, matching what the previous MP had won in the riding was a big boost for Poilievre. You could see, and we've been talking about this, how much he was hustling, right? He was not coasting through this by-election. He attended those local debates, which he would never have done in a general election. He was out at huskings. He was glad handling with people. He was trying very hard. And so I think think, the party moving up the leadership review, moving it to Alberta, I think there's a lot of confidence within the party apparatus that Mr. Poilievre will sail through his leadership review, and you are not seeing a lot of challenges to his leadership from within caucus. And I think certainly this by-election, getting him back in the House, having this decisive win will help him when it comes to the review in January.
Great to hear from you from Ottawa this morning. The Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. Thanks.
Thanks so much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.